Hey guys, my name is Ty Knotts and welcome to Top 5 Unknowns. Today we're going to be covering the case of Kelsie Schelling, a young woman who went missing back in 2013 and whose case still remains unsolved. So sit back and get ready for one of the craziest unsolved mysteries we've probably ever covered.
I think from my cell phone and the store phone, couldn't get a response.
Her family is getting a chance for justice.
Police are unable to determine who left it there.
21-year-old Kelsie Schelling has been missing since February 4th, 2013. On that day, she traveled from Denver, Colorado to the small city of Pueblo to meet with her former boyfriend. It's believed that he was the last person to see Kelsie alive. Her remains have yet to be found, and although her ex-boyfriend Dante Lucas awaits trial for her murder, her family is left wondering what exactly happened to their beloved daughter and friend. Kelsie was welcomed into the world on February 18, 1991 by her loving parents Doug Schelling and Laura Saxton. In a documentary created by 2020 covering Kelsie's case, her parents described her as a happy, healthy child who loved to laugh. Doug and Laura split up when Kelsie was 11 years old. Her father moved out of the family home, leaving Laura and Kelsie alone for many years. During that time, they developed a strong bond, which Laura described as unbreakable. This bond would later play a major role in the details of Kelsie's disappearance, causing her mother to know without a doubt that her daughter wouldn't skip town on her own without at least a phone call. After high school, Kelsie enrolled in Northeastern Junior College, where she went on to study psychology. While attending, she crossed paths with a young man named Dante Lucas. Their backgrounds were drastically different. Dante grew up in Pueblo, an area with a high crime rate, often referred to as the state's most dangerous city. Regardless, the pair sparked a romantic relationship that seemed to blossom and crumble at almost the exact same time. After Kelsie vanished, her friends and peers came forward and described the couple's relationship as unhealthy and even abusive. Some reports claimed that Dante constantly insulted Kelsie, tearing down her self-esteem over time. When asked if she thought Dante loved his girlfriend, Kelsie's best friend and former roommate, Ali Sandoval, said, "You don't treat someone you love like that." She went on to mention that on several occasions, the couple would get so heated during arguments they would both resort to throwing things. "You don't treat someone you love like that" is one of the most important quotes here, because far too often cases like this, domestic violence cases, go completely unreported. So it's good that Kelsie was at least honest enough with her friends and family so that they knew what was going on even if there wasn't too much they could do about it, because it's never too late to report domestic violence. As expected, they parted ways after a couple of exhausting semesters. Kelsie's friends and relatives were filled with a sense of relief, knowing that Kelsie escaped the toxic relationship before things grew more severe. They both dropped out and moved away. Kelsie headed for Denver while Dante returned to Pueblo. Sadly, the joy of their breakup was short-lived when the pair reunited in late 2012. It's difficult to have any form of sympathy for Dante whatsoever when he's been given multiple opportunities to prove his love for Kelsie, and time again he's proved just the opposite, that he doesn't love her at all. Because loving someone is a commitment, waking up every day and making sure that they're okay, making sure they're happy, making sure they're content, and doing everything within your power to make their life at least a little bit better. And Dante never did any of those things. Laura reported that sometime following the new year, Kelsie discovered that she was pregnant. She was excited to become a mother and welcomed her own mom's unconditional support, according to Laura. It's unclear exactly what Dante said upon hearing the news, but Kelsie apparently explained to her mother that he was angry and overall unhappy to hear the news. On February 4th, 2013, Kelsie had an appointment with her doctor for prenatal care and the first ultrasound of her unborn child. She arrived on time and welcomed the good news she received. After leaving her appointment, she texted her mother, sharing that she was 8 weeks pregnant and her baby was perfectly healthy. She sent an ultrasound photo along with her message, and her mother congratulated her. She sent a similar message to Dante, but that conversation didn't go quite as well. Expecting a child is one of the most mentally taxing and anxiety-inducing things that any woman can go through. So it's good that Kelsey had the support of her mother through all of this, but we just wish we could say the same for Dante, because it seems like he completely checked out of the situation pretty much before it even started. On the morning of Tuesday, February 5th, 2013, Kelsey failed to show up for her scheduled shift at the home goods store she worked at. Her coworker told investigators that she tried calling Kelsey from both her personal cell phone and the store's company line. Countless attempts went unanswered, causing a strong sense of worry. Meanwhile, Kelsey's mother and father were also being consumed by concern after Kelsey failed to return home the day before and seemingly vanished without as much as a simple phone call. As mentioned before, thanks to their strong bond, Laura knew instantly that something was wrong. This behavior was completely unlike Kelsey. When details of the day before began to surface, the threat of serious trouble grew larger. Laura took it upon herself to make contact with Dante after not hearing from her daughter for well over 24 hours. She explained in a 2020 interview that she asked if he had seen her. She mentioned that if he knew where she was, he would inform her, that everyone was concerned for her safety and that they were getting close to calling the police. According to Laura, Dante claimed he hadn't seen her, but assured that he would give her the message if they did cross paths. This was an immediate red flag for Laura, who explained that Dante seemed uninterested and not concerned in the least. It's difficult to have any form of sympathy for Dante whatsoever when he's been given multiple opportunities to prove his love for Kelsey, and time again he's proved just the opposite, that he doesn't love her at all. Because loving someone is a commitment, waking up every day and making sure that they're okay, making sure they're happy, making sure they're content, and doing everything within your power to make their life at least a little bit better. And Dante never did any of those things. It goes without saying that most people would be alarmed to discover their significant other hadn't been home in 2 days. When police were finally called over the matter, they discovered text messages between Dante and Kelsey from the day of her doctor's appointment. In these messages, Dante responded to the news by insisting that Kelsey make the 2-hour drive to Pueblo to see him, claiming he had a surprise for her. The texts read as follows: Dante, just wait and see for yourself. You probably won't believe me if I told you. Kelsey, tell me what it is and I'll come. Dante, come see for yourself. I know it'll put you in a better mood. Kelsey finally budged and made plans to drive out to Pueblo. Dante instructed her to meet with him at a Walmart near where he was living at the time. According to the timeline created by police from the couple's message threads, Kelsey left work around 10 p.m. that night and arrived at the designated meeting place at 11:20 p.m. She waited in the parking lot for an hour, but apparently Dante never showed up. In her frustration, she texted him saying that she was done waiting. After that, around midnight, Dante told her to meet him at a new location on a neighborhood street close to his grandmother's house where he was living temporarily. The events that followed are still unknown. The only certainty is that Kelsey was never seen or heard from again. As you'd expect, when Dante was inevitably interrogated for his involvement in his girlfriend's disappearance, he changed many details in the overall timeline to fit his story. Using the text messages as a rough guide, he confirmed to police that Kelsey arrived at the Walmart just after 11 p.m., and that she reported to his neighborhood after he left her waiting. He originally stated that he didn't meet her on that block, and that they had a lengthy conversation in her car. According to his statements in the footage taken from the first interrogation session, Kelsey eventually got mad at him and kicked him out of the car. Dante reported that instead of driving home after the argument, Kelsey stayed in her car overnight. The following morning, around 7 a.m., she contacted him and requested that he take her to a nearby hospital because she was feeling sick, according to his story. He claimed that they drove to Parkview Hospital, a few short miles away. Upon their arrival, Kelsey went into the emergency room and was inside for about 2 hours while he waited in the car. A later investigation into hospital records confirmed that Kelsey never checked into the hospital. Furthermore, her car was never seen at that location on the countless surveillance cameras the hospital had in place. He continued by saying that after this visit, they went to the same Walmart that was intended to be the original meeting point. Once there, Dante apparently waited in the car another few hours while Kelsey went in for snacks. Yet again, a fight between the couple ended with Kelsey kicking him out of the car and him walking home. Near the end of the first week that Kelsey was missing, there was a major breakthrough in the case that would not only bring investigators closer to the truth, but would also deconstruct nearly every detail of Dante's statement. Kelsey's car was found abandoned in the parking lot of a local hospital in the opposite direction of the hospital that Dante claimed they stopped at. Surveillance footage from that location unfortunately did not show the car being dropped off, so it was impossible to determine who the suspect may have been. However, this did open the investigation to new materials as the timeline of events was re-examined and more footage was surveyed. A transaction history showed that Kelsey's card was used at a nearby Cannon National Bank ATM. The footage from this transaction was collected, and it clearly showed Dante rolling up to the bank to withdraw $400 from Kelsey's account. This led to a brief identity theft charge, but it was eventually dropped because the court determined that Kelsey had allowed Dante to use her card freely in the past, which presented an obstacle for the prosecution. The bank footage was timestamped around 11:45 a.m., once again disputing the claims Dante had made and causing his timeline to fall apart. Around 12:05 p.m. that day, Kelsey's car was seen on Walmart surveillance footage being dropped off by a mysterious male figure sporting a hoodie, sunglasses, and gloves. It seemed as though this person walked away from the car, locking it behind them. That same figure was later captured on video walking through Walmart and exiting at the back of the store, where they were picked up by an unknown woman. It was later confirmed that this woman was Dante's mother, Sarah Lucas. Obviously, these details worked to establish even more suspicion against Dante. 24 hours passed between the car being dropped off at Walmart and it being discovered at the second hospital, lending more mystery to the case and creating a roadblock in the unofficial timeline of events based on evidence. It's important to note that the exact series of events that occurred are unknown to this day. On one hand, investigators had a handful of facts and evidence that support one narrative. In episode 58 of the Vanished podcast, Laura Saxton expressed her concerns with the Pueblo Police Department relating to their handling of the official investigation. She expressed that during Dante's original interrogation, key opportunities were missed that could have brought the truth to the surface sooner. She also discussed that officers and crime scene investigators failed to collect vital evidence from Kelsey's car. A private investigator was hired by Kelsey's family and friends to conduct their own search of the car. The PI found various fingerprints that went uncollected by investigators. Official officers and detectives refused to collect this evidence, though. Laura shared with 2020 that their PI was told the evidence would not be tested, stored at the department, or ever presented in court due to the means of collection occurring by an outside member of the force. Laura Saxton also shared information concerning the landlord of Dante's former family home, who reported a bloodstain in the carpet after the Lucas family abruptly moved away just a short time after Kelsey originally vanished. At the time, this landlord allegedly didn't know that Kelsey had been missing, or that the Lucas family was under close watch by investigators. He simply reported the stain under common concern. According to Laura, officers refused to collect and test the evidence and essentially shrugged their shoulders at the landlord's claims. Eventually, the carpet was removed and thrown out, meaning it was never properly tested. If this stain was related to Kelsey's fate, it could have been a huge breakthrough in the case and the following trial. In 2017, then 25-year-old Dante was serving time in a Pueblo jail after he'd been involved in an armed robbery with his younger brother. While in custody, he faced a new charge of first-degree murder of Kelsey Schelling. He was set to face a jury in 2018, but the case was pushed back due to media coverage, which the defense believed presented an unfair trial. In August of 2019, another huge break in the case was finally discovered when investigators found a long human hair in the trunk of Kelsey's car. The strand belonged to Sarah Lucas, Dante's mother. After this, Dante was set to face the law, but his case was pushed back about 3 times for a variety of reasons, including the withdrawal of an attorney on his team. It seemed that Dante would finally get a fair trial in April of 2020, but thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic, he's been rescheduled for September of 2020. He's considered innocent until proven guilty, But everyone, from Kelsey's close personal friends and relatives to the online Reddit crime-solving community, has speculated a plethora of theories. As of today, Kelsey has still not been found, and many questions remain unanswered for her grieving family. Sadly, this is where we're left with this case. There isn't much information available out there that we haven't already covered here. We just hope that whoever's responsible for Kelsey's disappearance, whether it's Dante or not, that they will be held accountable and that justice will be served. Because it's bad enough that Kelsey's gone missing and no one has any idea where she is or if she's even alive. But now her mother is left in this difficult position. And we just hope that at the very least for her mother's sake, that justice will be served soon enough. So we're going to do our best to keep you guys updated on this case if more information does come out in the future. But that's going to be the video for today. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you like this video, remember to click that like button. If you loved it, maybe click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But I've been Ty Knotts. I'll catch you guys in the next video.